Sunrise, the start of every new day, and the name of our Leopard Catamaran. Come and join Russ and Margie as they jump in to their adventure, sailing the world. This week we leave Great Barrier Island where we'd spent a week or so, and we make our way back to Gulf Harbour Marina where we had the clears enclosure fitted on the back of our boat. We can highly recommend Gulf Harbour Marina. It really is a well-run, well-maintained, all the services you need. It's a great spot for a stopover if you need some work done or just a rest. Life in the marina just after dark. Really happy with the end result of our clears enclosure. They were made and installed by Gulf Harbour Covers from Gulf Harbour Marina, and Blair was the guy doing the work. He did a really, really good job. It's neat, there's no creases, no folds. Everything rolls up and tucks away neatly. We still get to keep our existing drop-down shades that are in the grey covers that come standard on the boat. Zip in and zip out roll ups, really well cut around the stairs so we don't get any water leaking there. We can still use our electric grill, and this was a really good feature. It changed the shade over that come with the boat in this cover, and we have it as a drop down shade screen, which also acts as a fly screen if we have the roll-up window open to let the breeze in. We can drop this down, still get the sea out, but keep the mozzies and bugs out. Excellent job, Gulf Harbour Covers. When our clears were all finished, we left Gulf Harbour Marina and made our way around to Kawa Island before we spent a little bit of time there before we went to Wands Bay, so that we could take our dinghy up to Matakana markets. We really love our aft cockpit enclosure. It's allowed us to use that area in all different types of weather. While sailing to Kawa Island, it was just a beautiful day, and we come across these blue penguins. They just shone out. I just really love these things. The thing hanging to see them nesting on the wild, but we haven't yet. There was also tens and tens of thousands of these petrels. Must have ate some fish in the day, I'll tell you. We stopped at Beehive Island on the way to Kawa, at this little sand cay here, and there was some other people on the island. We noticed a cormorant had a fishing line and a stick caught on it. So he's had it for a while. It's worn on his beak.
Oh, the poor darling, yeah. It was almost like the birds when they arrived.
He had a great morning with these two couples. They were so much fun.
Welcome to Beehive Island in the Lothlorien harbour. Over to our northeast we have Kawa Island, named after the cormorant bird, which convenient we've just saved on an island thanks to Russ.
I didn't know that.
Mr. Russ, Noah and Andy over there have saved the bird that this island is named after, so that's pretty cool story. But the purpose of this is to tell you a little bit about Lothlorien feijoa organic wine, which is from probably 15 kilometres this direction, on a beautiful vineyard. Well, it's not vineyard, whatever, feijoa yard.
Feijoa yard.
Feijoa yard in the Motutapu Island. It is a nice dry little number. It's fizzy. made from feijoa, which is a New Zealand favourite, but not so well known around the rest of the world unless you're in South America. So that's fun fact number 2.
And there's a dry?
There is a dry, sorry, going on a bit, but it's worth going on. It really is. This is the medium, which we're enjoying on Beehive today, but you can get the green label and dry it up a little for sort of, other occasions if you prefer. But done nicely with a little salad made from leftovers after catching a bird, I think, saving a bird, I should say.
Go well with scallops too, wouldn't it?
It would go very nicely with scallops, hint hint. Could go out and get a few, or maybe some oysters. We've been walking on oyster shells, so take a pick.
And how about that beautiful top you're wearing, Ruby?
Oh, this is made by a local fashion designer named Brooke Tyson. Graphics done by another local artist, Ruby Watson.
This is Ruby.
Pretty local here. We're keeping it local. What else have we got that's local?
Next morning we moved over to Wands Bay from Paradise Island and anchored up there, and then took the dinghy up to Matakana markets, which were unbelievable.
Matakana Farmers Markets really lived up to all the hype. The quality and the variety of the food and wine was so impressive. And we did lots of tastings of olives, bread, olive oil, lots of wine tastings, which were really delicious. I just love farmers markets, and this one was really probably the best I've ever been to. And it's so sad to think that all the work that Matakana and all their producers have put into getting this market going, may come to an end. From Wands Bay, we sailed over to Motutapu Administration Bay. Motutapu is Maori for Sacred Island, and it really is quite a lovely place. It's administered by the Department of Conservation and is pest-free, and it's a reserve for native birds.
The ranger had just driven along the beach here in one of those 4-wheel quads, and he was checking and setting all different sorts of traps. Some of them were had feed in them and like a black powder, so when the animals ran through they left the footprints and they could identify what they were. He's looking for some figs. They've been growing wild all over New Zealand. Amazing. Very tasty. Such a massive fig tree. All we can find is green ones. Well, I've tried to find figs. They're all green. Well, we'll have to just see what else we can hunt together. Looks like they're doing some restoration work over here. Planted out some native species, fenced it off from the animals. I don't know whether he's playing this duck or whether there's actually something wrong with him.
This Paradise Shelduck is a native endemic, and initially we thought he was trying to lead us away from his chicks by acting injured, but when we picked him up and examined him, there were no injuries, although he was very light, which obviously is worrying. So we decided to let the ranger know about him so that he could investigate and do whatever was needed to be done. Motutapu Outdoor Education Camp is located in Administration Bay on the north coast of Motutapu Island. Visitors to the camp have access to the facilities within the 4 hectares of the camp property and can also explore more than 3,800 hectares of Department of Conservation managed scenic reserve over both Rangitoto and Motutapu Islands. Both islands are covered in native flora and fauna and dotted with many interesting archaeological, geographical and environmental marvels.
After a night of fishing off the back of the boat, I think I caught 17 snapper in all. We kept 3 of them. They were great size, beautiful, tasty to eat. Anyway, this morning we decided to jump in the kayaks, paddle ashore and go for a walk to the other side of the island, or the link between the island, which is called an artificial causeway. And along the way, just take in the sights of the island.
Motutapu is one of the earliest places inhabited both by Polynesians and later by Europeans in the Auckland region. The earliest evidence for occupation of Motutapu dates to before the eruption of Rangitoto, circa AD 1400. The eruption smothered Motutapu in ash and caused widespread deforestation, but also produced friable soils suitable for gardening. The Motutapu Restoration Trust is responsible for overseeing the work to restore both the natural and the cultural heritage of the island, and that involves replanting forests and restoring wetlands. And as you can see here, they seem to be also poisoning the exotic pines to make way for native plants. Possums and wallabies were eradicated from the island in the early 1990s. By January 2010, rodents, rabbits, stoats appeared to have been successfully eradicated. Most cats had been removed, although a few may have remained at that point, and hedgehogs were still plentiful. In August 2011, both Rangitoto and Motutapu were declared pest-free. Since then, a number of native New Zealand species have been translocated to Motutapu, including the tuckerhare, saddleback, and the North Island brown kiwi.
I guess I know what you're all thinking about me now.
As we walked around Motutapu, we noticed about 20 small military-looking structures, and we were interested to find out a little bit more about their history. What we found was that work began on the Motutapu counter-bombardment battery in 1936. In May 36, roads to the battery had been formed and the battery and observation post completed by June 37. guns mounted by the end of 38, and a temporary camp established at Administration Bay in 37. War broke out in September 39, and the military population on the island went from 10 to 200, requiring the construction of additional buildings at Administration Bay and at the observation posts. And presumably these building structures were later developed into the outdoor education camp. The US Army intended to use Auckland as a staging point into the Pacific, and this led to the construction of deep-water warfare facilities and the construction of 50 ammunition magazines between 42 and 43. The war ended in 45, and within 5 years the entire complex had been abandoned. But as you can see, these buildings were remarkably robust.
This is one of those times when the grass really is not brown. Now that's what I call a mooring buoy. On our way down to the causeway on this side of the island, we came across some more fig trees, and one very large bunch of fig trees and one smaller one. Of the smaller fig tree had these beautiful pink reddish figs. They were completely delicious. This fig tree was probably about 50 metres round and just covered in figs. That I reckon there was probably 5 or 6 different species of birds there, and they were cleaning them up. This was a camping reserve down along there, or making your way to the causeway, which you can see out in front there. There's a couple of camping areas on here, and then a whole heap of little batches, which in the next video we'll have some footage on those. But what a great walk this was. Not a bad spot for a holiday house, is it?